All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Heart to Heart podcast. This is the third season and 13th episode. My name's Hafiz, and I will be your host for today. Today we have a special guest, Sabrina. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And we know you can be anywhere, and you choose us, so we appreciate you.
Please don't make this complicated. What about the time we wasted on our love?
Alright, so we're going to start by jumping right into the gaming aspect of it. For those of you who don't know how it works, we're going to be asking each other 3 lighthearted questions, and we're going to be incorporating our randomized words into our answers. You ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Alright, okay, so my first question for you is, let's say you had to get a pet. Okay, and you had to pick between a dolphin, a seal, or an elephant. Okay, which would you pick? And your words are cooperation, reptile, and withdraw.
Between dolphin, a seal, and the elephant, I would definitely pick dolphin. Because dolphins are such a great animal. They like to provide cooperation. They train really well. And I don't think they can be as ugly, per se, as reptiles. So I like their smoothness and jumping in the water. And they won't really withdraw from the crowd. You go into any of those SeaWorld, dolphins are the ones who jump out of the water and surprise you.
Nice. I picked the same thing too, by the way. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so then it's my turn. Okay. What could be one of the most useless talent that you have? Words are frequency, seed, and size.
Okay, so the most useless talent I have. That's an interesting question. Let's say sleeping. I'll just go sleeping because I can't really think of anything. I don't have like a particular talent that I know of that I would say is useless per se. So no, but sleeping is very useful. Okay, scootering. I know how to scooter, okay? The reason it's the most useless talent I have is because, first of all, in terms of the usage of it, how frequently I use it, not really. Its frequency of usage is very, very low. I'd rather skateboard every day of the week. It's just so much better. And it's big to carry. You know, the size of it is big to carry. So it's not really an ideal environment. And like, if you think about it, like, let's say you were to like go to downtown and you go into a store that has seed, like delicious seed. If you were to have a scooter with you, it would be so much harder to enjoy it, because you'd have this big chunky thing that you have to carry around instead of just a skateboard, which is like so much easier. Scooters is the most useless talent that I have. That's the best I got, because I can't really think of quote unquote useless talents. But yeah, that's the best I got. Okay.
That's fun.
Awesome. Okay, so let's say you had to pick between using a headphone, so an over-ear headphone, or you get to use a wireless earbud, or you get the wired ones, but still the earbuds, the wired ones, right? Which one would you pick? And your words are cinema, jealous, and character.
Interesting. I think I would choose to have the wireless headphones because I don't think I want other people to feel jealous that I have something that I can be separated from me, and then I needed to feel like the need to share with someone if I have a cord. And then it's easier to just give it to someone else when I have two earbuds and to share. And therefore, I feel like from a character's perspective, I can be that sharer. I'm not a taker, and then I'm not just a giver. And if especially when I'm watching something that's a cinema, a movie on my computer, I rather have all the sounds concentrated in my ear instead of dispersed out and bounce around in the rest of the room.
Nice. Nice. Well done.
Awesome. All right. So question for you is, if you have a boat and you can name her or him anything, what would you name your boat? And your words are radio, constant, and separate.
Okay, if I was to name a boat anything, it would be peace. Because, like, think about it. We all want to constantly be at a state of peace. We want to not feel separated from the people we love, the things we love, and everything around us. Like, being at peace is like the ideal state of mind that anyone could have. And you don't hear a lot about it in the radio, unfortunately. It's all about all the bad things that happen. Radio, television, news outlets everywhere. A lot of negativity on there. So the exact opposite. Peace is what I would name the boat, because that's what I would hope to achieve on a boat outside. Not noise, especially out on the water, where it's very calming and relaxing. A break from all the chaos that happens in this world. So yeah, that'd be the word I'd pick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So my last question for you is, let's say you had to pick between one of these three methods of transportation. Okay? Walking, scootering, or skateboarding. You had to use one and only one for your daily commute. Which would it be? And your words are update, transaction, and protection.
If I have to do it every day, I would still walk, because even though it's not the most protective way when we have all these highways, but at least I can upgrade it by wearing a skater sport or a light jog, and I still consider walking, and that it would be my transition into something that I can move a little bit faster.
Nice.
All right. And my last question for you is, what would be the closest thing to real magic? And your words are blast, battlefield, and calf.
I know most people would envision this crazy environment in a battlefield, potentially where a blast would occur, but I would argue the closest thing to real magic is hard work and consistency, because the best results that have been achieved as a result of that. It helps to have a calf on the side too, but it's not necessarily needed per se, but it's like all great things, all these things that we've said are magical. Like, they've all happened as a result of people working hard, as a result of people pushing past boundaries that people have set for them, pushing past boundaries they've set for themselves. All of these are necessary in order to create some sort of everlasting magic. So I think that's the closest to magic that anyone will ever get. That's my take.
I totally agree with you, because if you think about it, the hardest muscle to build is your lower leg, right? Your calf and your thigh, and then you only have to be consistent, work on your weight training and running, jumping to get those.
Yes, totally. All right, that is amazing. All right, well, Thank you so much. That was a fun gaming session. Let's make a transition into the other topic. So tell me a bit about what you do.
I am your typical busy bee since I was little. I grew up in Asian family. Usually girls are seen like, as long as you have a good grade, good job, good partners, marry off, you should be pretty set. And my rebellious tendencies like, no. All my cousins are male. So that inner self of me, that rebellious side is like, I will get the most amount of degree and still doing all my things by myself in my own way. So 2 bachelors, 2 masters, getting into medicine. I end up picking heart and lung surgery. Now, in itself, people start telling me, Sabrina, you're crazy. Why did you pick the field? And you're on your feet all day. Things go wrong really quickly. And my answer was, I don't find anything interesting. And I love to see the immediate changes, despite how quickly bad things can turn around. Now, I was able to place myself in one of the biggest medical center in the world, big hospital in the US, and where people even fly in to see us internationally. And when you become efficient, guess what? People expect you to start doing more and more. So I burned out super early in my career, where one day I was having a fever operating, and finally I couldn't get out of bed the next day. I have to call in sick. My boss told me that I should have planned this out sooner, like we can plan out our sickness. So I realized that my own research before I went into medicine in neuroscience and public health was on self-care, self-efficacy, stress management. How did we forget all that? And then I spent even more time with different peak performer, trainers, coaches, psychologists, and neuroscientists, cognitive behaviors to figure out, of all of us who have these bigger career goals and we reach certain degree of them, how do we maintain it? How do we actually enjoy it? And not become someone who just running around in circles and start losing who we are, losing what we actually trying to be here for. And now I turn things around. I still operate. I still do heart and lung surgery as a PA. Pretty much only spend 1 week. I allow myself 1 week to be that busy out of the whole month. And then 3 other weeks. And I concentrate on fun things, desirable things for me is public speaking, running my own podcast, and helping other private practice healthcare practices, medical, dental, functional medicine, chiropractics, their owners and their team to build mental fitness. And because I truly believe that when you master yourself, master your psychology, then you can elevate your team's productivity and gain time back. Truly have that ultimate time makeover.
That's amazing. Right off the bat, I got a quick question. So in that, you said for 1 week in the entire month is when you basically go ham, right?
So in medicine, pretty much we work 12 hours roughly every day. And then you also take calls for any issues that come up. So I make myself only do that our normal way 1 week out of the month.
So, okay. So when you enter into that first week, is your mind telling you, I can't wait till this week's over? Or is it like, wow, I got another week? Like, what goes through your mind at that stage?
I think that week is my week of, I compartmentalize. This week, I'm shutting down from anything else, right? I accept my close niche people who I still continue to have daily connections. Majority of massive connections, networking, any of that, it becomes back burner. My calendar is preset. You can only talk to me certain day, certain time of the week. And then you can see it really 3 weeks ahead of time. So that really means plan it out, right? And then during this entire week, I know I love to see patients still. I still like to be in an OR, but I give my most concentrated moment to these people in front of me, to the team that I'm working with, and I'm not distracted from anything else. So this week, it's for medicine. That's it. But other weeks, I'm also allocate my time, my energy for other things that I enjoy from a mental fitness standpoint, from a efficiency, and share with other people, creating these community standpoint.
So, so everything is very, very scheduled for you, right? What happens when things go? Because obviously there ends up being instances where things go, well, they don't go according to plan, right? How do you handle a scenario like that? How do you make sure it doesn't spiral completely out of control?
Right. So that's something that I teach people. It's not about preventing fire from happening. It's about how to handle everything immediately and get yourself out. So that takes some neuroremodulating training. While I also do a lot of things to prevent them, yes, right? People who, let's just say, use a simple example. Nowadays, we do a lot of meetups, connection over Zoom or over some kind of conference. The poorest way to make that happen is figure out people's time zones and go back and forth about, hey, here's all the time available. What about you, right? Now, there are so many online technology apps that you can put your pre-existing calendar and integrate it with the ones that you have. Takes away all the hassle, and it sends out auto reminders for people with your special privacy link. And therefore, you don't get into that, oh my God, who's showing up? I forgot to send this email. Let's just say, even, yes, things don't go well. I had 2 calls before this one, and then I was 5 minutes running late. But knowing everyone knows, we all have things that run late a little bit. You give each other grace, right? And then the number one thing is stop judging yourself for being late, thinking someone else gonna feel that you are not as good or you're being insincere. Actually, we all know these things happen. So number one thing is stop judging ourselves, because from a positive psychology standpoint, we know there are 10 different saboteurs, we call them. And they're the ones are standing in our own way, right? We always say, who's your biggest enemy? It's ourselves. Why? Because from our past experiences, what we learn, we create these personas. They're not true self, but these personas that are chiming at you, right? I even make all my clients do this too. So if the number one saboteur is judger, right? We judge ourselves for what we've done, we haven't done, and we start judging everybody else because we have a standard, right? Thinking, oh my gosh, I can do this in 20 minutes. How come it's taking you so long, right? You don't realize that your talent is so unique. Not everyone have it. So stop even criticizing ourselves. And then that takes the next step is neuroremodulating. These exercises, we can just bring ourselves to the ground to say, I'm actually here to solve, to connect, what's the true purpose, and I'm already moving on, and now allow myself just to be in the moment of being a judge, but actually wanted to be a curiosity, being a learner of what this moment have taught me. Or don't even go into that state, but simply say, stop, just stop from talking yourself down and let me get to where I need to go first, right? Let's solve the problem first, and not being here is not helping me.
Nice. I like that. That is true. We're definitely our biggest critics, especially when we don't want to be it. But sometimes, like, if you don't stop it, it'll just completely spiral out of control. So I really like that point. Let's talk about routines for a second. Why are routines important?
Routine is something that once you build it into your default, because our mind can shut down decisions. Most of the time that we already have the natural tools. Instead of looking for all the new strategies, you probably know what to do, but you haven't trusted yourself enough to do a rinse and repeat. So therefore, we want to create routines that come easy to us, and then we like to do it, and that's how we create momentum. However, the concept of SMART goals, right? When people have these small, measurable, goal-oriented, attainable, but if it's too specific and too routine, guess what? Human beings like, I'm bored, right? And so we have to make these smaller steps somewhat challenging and somewhat we want to do, right? Getting that excitement into it. So it's good to have a routine because then become a second nature. It's almost like you're driving home. You see that sign that triggers your mind to make that turn. You see the tree, oh, and then you needed to go straight, right? Whatever that is, it's nature's way to show you you can reduce amount of decision you have to make, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that kills productivity is decision fatigue. When you have to debate with yourself, when you have to think about, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I analyze it? Right? Then it's a analysis paralysis.
Yeah. What is the key to avoiding that decision fatigue? What is the key to getting yourself out of that situation?
There are a few different things. Number one is, how do you cut down the decision you have to make? Right? So what is the one problem that you do frequently? What could be the problem that brought into your vision? And how do you reduce the question altogether? Some silly stuff like, for me, the week that I'm on medicine, right, and then I'm in a hospital, my decision on what to wear, I don't have to make that. So guess what? It cuts down my time in the morning to get ready, because every day I'm wearing scrubs. I'm taking those scrubs, I'm putting in my bag, and when I woke up, putting on the scrubs and socks, I'm going. And then even more decreasing in decision making is I buy all white socks, and then I have all black ones. So guess what? When I finish laundry, it's very easy. So many of us, I guess I'm not alone, is you miss socks all the time. And then you're like, where did they go in the laundry basket? So anything from as small as clothing to bigger things that you have in your business, in your career, how can you make certain things that are easy and don't have to really think about, because you wanted to use your brain capacity for the bigger things that truly give you the bigger ROI, and use it in those decisions.
So is that the key to simplify life? Like, is that the key to being more productive? Would you say that?
It's concentration. We say there's a compass of freedom. How do you define freedom? What's your version? And that means, do you know of all the things that you have to create, what is true desire for you? And what are the things that you do are actually distractions? Not necessarily you're good at. You thought you can just figure out. And then guess what? 2 hours go by, you're still working on it, right? And then 10 different browsers still up. And then what are the things that you feel like you already have the talent and skills to do, but you don't enjoy? And guess what? That's a disinterest. It won't allow you to have momentum. And then the worst thing is the dreadful zone. And those are the things you don't like to do, and you don't really have the skills to do, but you feel like the obligation. And most clients that I work with that are healthcare leaders always feel like, Sabrina, I'm just doing so many things that are in the dreadful zone. I just don't want to do them, but I have to. And those have to is also a sabotaging persona that's telling us that's not truth, right? Because we haven't learned how to offload that to a better way.
Okay, so what if there are scenarios where you can't really offload it? Or let's say, if we're to shift this discussion to another aspect, let's say one of that thing is working out. Let's say working out is something that you kind of just don't enjoy doing, but to stay fit, you have to do it, right? How would you, I guess, mentally get past a situation like that?
Do you feel like staying fit, you have to work out? Is that a true statement?
Yes, it is a true statement.
I could challenge you on that. Actually, staying fit, first thing is nutrition. It's actually had nothing to do with workout. Most people actually be able to shred, change themselves more so on nutrition than actually being in the gym or doing activities, because a physical activity actually doesn't burn that much calories. Everything is about what you put into your mouth. So that's the mental shift to even begin with. Are you making a true statement, or are you making a statement that you felt like is the truth, but it's not absolutely true?
Right. Okay, so guess my follow-up question. I don't want to dive into what I like debating a lot, but I don't want to get off track a bit. So we'll just bring it right back to the discussion. Okay, so fair enough at that point. So let's say we're in a scenario where you feel like you need external support, you feel like you need external resources, but you're not sure where to go to get it, or even if it's even out there. What would you suggest for someone like that?
I think that actually needed some work, right? And first of all, when people have a mindset of, I don't even think there are help out there, that actually is a lack state. So number one thing is actually realizing there's actually plenty of resources of help out there. Your support is actually, guess what? You can Google it. YouTube is the biggest engine. You can probably find any answer you want, but it's now about the resource that you get, right? It's how you feel. How do you use the resource that we have? Plenty of us can learn about everything and anything. It's now about absorbing and dumping knowledge, but it's how do you feel about using these? And then another mindset shift in that, when you're thinking about, I don't know who to ask, how to ask, well, how about we become more resourceful to say, I can find it. But not to say I already have the answer, but I believe I can find it. Right? And that's part of my research is that we have to have the self-efficacy, means the belief system something will come to us. Now, it's not the same as when people think about law of attraction, things will just happen. You think it will happen. It's actually, if we're really clear on exactly what we need, what the sources could help us to move that 1 inch further, right? And you're very clear about it. If you're vague about it, then no one is able to help you, right? If you can really be honest with yourself, be authentic with yourself, just to ask yourself, what is it, the goal that I want? If it's even, for your example of workout, why do I even want to do it? Well, probably none of us wanted to get out of bed when it's cozy, right, to do it. But what is my true goal? Is it to feel good? Or is to have that abs that I can look good on the beach? What is the actual thing that I want? Because once we're super clear, guess what happened to us is we start seeing all the opportunities in front of us, right? So I'm not sure if this ever happened to you. If you, in the same community, you never met someone until a friend introduced the two of you, and somehow you've been seeing them popping up here and there, right, in your world, because our mind did not have that person or did not have that thing in our vision, in our subconsciousness at all to start with. And once we have it, we're able to pick those cues up a lot more easily and frequently. And then the next step is, if you see the opportunity, are you going to be courageous enough to grab it, to actually try it, right? And then if you are, and then doesn't matter what happens, what the result is, at least you try, because then you can morph, shape into the result that you wanted.
Awesome. Yeah, those are some good points. Some good points there. Question for you. What advice would you have for someone in their 20s?
I think I go back to my last point. What is it that you want at this phase of your life, right? We don't have to think about like the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. It doesn't have to be that far. You can be your unique self to create something and that align with who you are, your mission, right? What is it just in your near future? If you can ask yourself, I am the happiest, feel the most successful, feel most free in the next 12 months, what does that look like, right? And once you have that vision, and then will be the same thing as what we talked about earlier, you can start seeing opportunities and then start grabbing those opportunities and make them to align with whatever the vision that you just created. And therefore, that's the most efficient way that we can create, instead of feeling like, well, I don't know, let me just try everything. And guess what? Your road is going to be zigzagging, and then you're never really truly going to find what makes you feel your version of success, your version of happiness, your version of being most supported, recognized.
I just want to add to that point. So what if someone struggles to even see their version of it? Like they struggle to even get that vision as a whole.
You can start by doing Strength Finder. What are you good at to even start with? And some people don't even realize that their talent, their specialty is actually very unique. Not everyone can have and learn it, right? And something that will take me 5 minutes to do, maybe it will take you an hour. Not because we have different IQ differences, it's just we have a natural talent. And then because we are all different in our talent pool, and that's how we actually tap into other people's skill, right? That's attracting other's talent, and that's how we create synergy. And that's compounding effect. Tap into each other's talent and time, and then you can do things exponentially, bigger results, lesser time.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great way of figuring out at least where to start. Right? It's just like look up what you're best at and like jump into it. I like that. All right. Any last words, last piece of advice, just anything you would like to say to everyone?
Yeah, so I want everyone to see that it's okay. Let's not compare our version of what works really well and then our happiness to everybody else's. There's too much chaos out there, and you probably have more tools and more knowledge in you that you haven't discovered or you haven't trusted yourself enough to do. So tap those more, right? Truly understand what that desire means to you, both with your talent, your skills, and what you like and what you can say, I can create a momentum forever, right? Stay in the zone. And it's okay when other people judge because they are not coming from the best heart. And the people that you can create the most inner key 5 and 10 people in your life, they will match you on every level of life.
Awesome. That's a wonderful way of ending it. Thank you so much for hopping on and giving us and providing us with your knowledge. Do you want to tell them a bit about what you do real quick? Like or where they could find you or like, where they could find you.
Yeah, so for anybody who are in a healthcare career, and especially the healthcare leaders and the aspiring leaders, I run a podcast called The Powerful and Passionate Healthcare Professionals. They're on every single podcast hosting sites, Apple, Google, Amazon, and iHeart, and anywhere you like to hear it. They're quick, short, to the point, truly to see if you wanted to elevate who you are in your career and a person, and you're not compromising who you are. And we can do that by tapping into all different components of life and not just seeing we are who we are only if we have certain letters behind our name, certain degrees, certain certifications. And I work with practice owners in medicine, chiropractic, dental to really show that we can thrive so much more as a team when we can master our psychology, having that mental fitness, and to truly spend less time and get more done.
Awesome. And I'm obviously going to be putting the link to the website down in the description below. Thank you so much for taking the time to hop on. And thank you everyone for taking the time to listen. And I will talk to you all later. Take care.